woman that I know. She's the woman that loves me, so I'm saying, Bebopalula, she is my baby. Bebopalula, don't leave me, baby. Bebopalula, she's my baby, down my baby, down my baby, down. Got that beat. She's the woman with the flying feet. She's the one that walks around the store. She's the one that yells a more, 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 saying, Bebopalula, she's my baby. Bebopalula, I don't mean baby. Bebopalula, she's my baby, down my baby, down my baby, down.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
And we're back. You're listening to Lights, Camera, Cleveland. I'm Rob Alderman. With me, as always, my stalwart traveling companion, the Hollywood Slinky. With us, as always, AMC Mike.
Hello.
The Wallflower. Slinky, you pick a topic. Ready? Go.
The whole point of a movie is to make money. It is a business after all. However, there is an element that a movie's not going to do good business if it is not any good. So let's say a movie is 50% quality, 50% dollars. At what point do those two things correlate? And in that respect, how do you justify movies like Avatar, Titanic, Transformers Dark of the Moon, Dark Knight Rises, and Pirates of the Caribbean 2 all being on the top 10 highest grossing film list of all time?
You know what, though? This is the thing. You are forgetting something, Slink. Now, I know you said this was going to be obtuse a little, okay? And I appreciate that warning, but nay, my friend. Nay. This is not obtuse because you're forgetting about a little something we like to call around here the drive angry theory. In the drive angry theory, Rob presupposes that the American public wants to see crappy movies.
So my question really to drive this down,
They crave it.
Yes, but does that make it a good movie?
You're missing out on consumption versus art. And now I'm going to turn your attention, my friends, to hamburgers. You see, I love a great hamburger.
I thought you were calling AMC Mike hamburgers.
I did too.
I think no, AMC Mike is AMC Mike.
It's like, I'm a Whopper. Thank you very much.
Yay! Oh, here's the thing. We can, if and we want, go on right. We can walk out this door and hang a left, and we can walk down here to the bistro. It's right here. We can go into the bistro, and I can order a heck of a burger.
Sure.
That a chef has taken and has probably flown that meat in from Japan where they hand massaged it for its, its midlife, and they took it out and they checked to see if all the marbling in the fat, that it had enough fat in it, and then some special spices, and they grind it all up with a side of brisket, and then they serve that thing to me with some, what are those, sweet potato fries? I'm sure they got them. I'm sure they got sweet potato fries down there, right? And I could go down there and we could have a heck of a burger. And that burger is a piece of art. It is a work of art.
Yes.
But you know what, Slink? Just because we know that burger's there doesn't stop our chunky tails from heading over to McDonald's for a cheeseburger. You, by your own admission, when you're sick, what do you crave?
I crave a McDonald's cheeseburger.
You crave a McDonald's cheeseburger when Slinky has a cold. Well, the American public has a cold, friend. And that cold has nothing to do with art criticism, film criticism, good storytelling. That thing has to do with how can I go...
So by that very nature, though, does that suddenly make Titanic a better movie?
No, but I would argue that Titanic holds up terribly well. AMC Mike, what do you think?
About Titanic or the whole,
Well, about this whole thing about how...
We know how she feels
No,
about
you know what?
Titanic.
Earlier you were saying you wish Ken Dog was here, but I'm going to say I'm actually glad AMC Mike is here because low-budget films happen to be her specialty.
It's true. I think there's a very big difference between a quality of a movie and a fun movie and a movie that you just watch for comfort.
Right.
You know, and so I think that you can't ask, is it a good movie? You have to ask, is it an artsy movie or is it a fun movie?
But if it fulfills those qualifications, does that by nature make it good?
Well, what are those qualifications?
That's where I would say no. I would step in. See, she's willing to give you more leeway. For me, no. Listen, if a ton of people buying Nickelback records means Nickelback is good. Photograph. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he'll be here all night. No, but you see what I'm saying, though, right? Now, I happen to believe that the Beatles create beautiful works of art.
Sure.
Okay, but I happen to also believe that Nickelback was a plague, like a virus, a horrible, terrible thing.
But they sold a heck of a lot of albums.
But people buy that mess because they want to be all like, look at this photograph.
Call in if you think you want to vote on who did the better Nickelback. Rob or the Slinky, 61.
I felt like you were giving me some Creed.
614-5553.
You were like a little bit too into it.
Yeah.
You know, Nickelback almost they disdain
bored with themselves.
Yeah, they disdain themselves.
Yeah.
Creed had no idea. Creed just thought they were the greatest thing in the world. I think somewhere
They were to them.
I think somewhere in Nickelback's world, somebody at the practice was like, "Guys, you know this isn't really good."
And they were like, yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep recording,
But
right?
it
Let's pay our
sells.
mortgages.
Yeah.
Right. So I just didn't think he gave him enough disdain. If you want to talk about Creed, Nickelback, and the state of American film, call 423-614-5553. But to continue this conversation, to continue the current conversation, I don't think you judge something on its artistic value by tickets sold, and that is true of any art. That's true of all of the famous artists who never got famous in their lifetime.
That's what I tell myself when I do paintings.
But
No,
I would
it's true,
argue that you're forgetting that 50% of film is not art. It's business. It's not like Guillermo del Toro just sat down one day and said, do you know what I really want to do?
Tell
I want to
me."
take $300 million of my own that I happen to have sitting around. And I want to just give some to local celebrity screenwriter Travis Beacham. I want to call him and say, Travi,
Yes, Guillermo.
write me a movie about giant monsters.
Done and done.
I want you to fight robots.
I love robots.
I want you to rip the whole thing off from Neon Genesis, but don't let anyone know.
Everyone's gonna know, Guillermo. Everyone's gonna know.
The fanboys will love it. But you know what I'm saying? It's not like he sat around and it's not like in the traditional sense like Picasso or I mean I may be using poor examples. I'm not like an art history person, but it's not like
We
Salvador.
happen to have one with us.
But it's not like Michelangelo or Donatello was sitting around and thought, I'm gonna pitch this idea and have billions of dollars thrown my way and then make it.
Except that, see,
That's not a really good example.
In
Yeah, I
this
know.
particular, in this particular,
Sistine Chapel was paid for.
in this
In fact, he was
particular
forced.
instance, though, Guillermo del Toro does believe he is creating art. He does. He absolutely believes. Michael Bay believes he's creating art, and then the public decides what they will consume. If that wasn't true, there would be absolutely no need for critics.
Sure,
at all.
But the need for producers says that it's not so much about the art as it is about the dollar return.
Well, that's because somebody out there spending a heck of a lot of money on the thing and wants to make their money back. I just, essentially the film industry is just like the record industry, where it's a big banking system, right? It's a series of loans and returns. But, remember that article I posted right after Roger Ebert died called In Defense of Criticism? Mm-hmm. I feel like the role of the critic has changed. We laugh because when we do the preview review on this show, which is probably our heaviest critic moment, right?
You know who loves Surf's Up Car Wash?
It's not
Guillermo.
time. It's not time yet, Guillermo. But when we do that segment, we say we're going to tell you what to go see.
Right.
But that's bullcrap, people.
Right.
We're going to always say it. But in defense of criticism, we are instead voices in the wilderness. Right?
Sure.
Just crying out for the sake of the art. It's like, I love Carrie's paintings, right?
Right.
She's painting right now. She will or will not be recognized in her lifetime as a painter.
But if you would
Right.
like to recognize her and purchase something commissioned, call right now at 614-5553.
That's true,
And
though.
ask for AMC Mike.
But I am a voice that cries out in the wilderness in that I share the photos of her paintings, and I decided she did this one picture of a girl holding an apple thing, and I was like, man, that picture's cool looking. It looks old timey. And she was like, it's a wash. It takes like a gajillion years to make and cost me $500 or whatever. I'll sell it to you for $12,000. And I was like,
That's exactly what I said, actually. $12,000.
Well, that explains why you've not sold any work.
but my point is, whether or not the public is buying her art, just like whether or not the public is buying the tickets, doesn't create its artistic value. It merely ascribes a consumption value to what people want. And you got to look at social trends. You got to look at the pop culture of it all. When you look
It's
at the
pretty
pop
safe
culture,
to say that Titanic, for example, would never, ever do the kind of dollars today as it did when it came out back in,
Right.
93, 94?
right? And you know what? That film holds up. We were talking about this the other day. We
No,
wanted.
actually, it sinks.
I don't really.
Oh, she got jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes. No, yeah, but you're right. It sinks.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is when they brought this thing to 3D, I hereby quoteth the Book of Slinky. Wow, finally a movie that deserves to get a 3D remake. Because it's big and it's a boat crashing into the water with huge waves and people falling off the boat. You know what I mean? Like, for the time, nobody'd seen a blockbuster like that. It was new. It was all about consumption. I ended up seeing the movie like 4 or 5 times before I realized I was socially obligated to hate Leonardo. And so I just think you're right. We ascribe success of a film based on money, but we don't ascribe worth of a film. I mean, Reservoir Dogs, I love that movie. I thought it was a work of art, even though it was filled with profanities, and it made nothing. I mean, even in retrospect, that movie's made nothing. After Pulp Fiction won an Oscar, nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing. I can say that I think Reservoir Dogs is a better film, but which film was more successful? Pulp Fiction was. That's just my thought. I'm going to cue up the music while you tell our listeners what's coming next.
Well, what's coming next is some music that's being queued up by Rob.
That's
But once
true.
that happens, we're going to come right back and we're going to talk about some box office numbers. We're going to eventually get to the preview review, the big news, and later on, in honor of the San Francisco phenomenon, we are going to be discussing the greatest plane crash film of all time.
All this and more. Lights, Camera, Cleveland.
Well, I shuffled through the city on a 4th of July, had a firecracker waiting to blow, breaking like a rival who was making his way to the cities of Mexico. Lived in an apartment out on Avenue A, at a tall on a corner of town. Had myself a lover who was finer than gold, but I've been broken, I've been busted up since. Love don't play any games with me anymore like she did before. folds in my wallet and it stayed pretty good. Still amazed that I didn't lose that on a loop of the place. When I was drunk and I was thinking of you. Every day the children, they were singing the tunes out on the streets and you could hear from inside. You used to take the subway on the house in the third. I would wait for you and not try to hide. Love won't play any games with you anymore if you don't want them to. The world won't wait, watch you shake, but honey, I don't blame you. Hell, I still love you, New York. Hell, I still love you, New York. New York. I remember Christmas in the blistering cold in the church on the Upper West Side. Babe, I stood there singing, I was holding your arm, you were holding my trust like a child. Found a lot of trouble out on Avenue B, but I tried to keep the overhead low. Farewell to the city and the love of my life, these we lived before we had to go. Love won't play any games with you anymore if you don't want them to. Sweep and she, this old thing out the door. I'll always be thinking of you. I'll always love you though, New York. 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 New York, New York.
And we're back. You're listening to Lights, Camera, Cleveland. I'm Rob Alderman. With me, as always, the Slinky. AMC Mike is here.
What?
The party is just beginning. It's insane.
I love parties. You know who else loves parties?
You tell me.
The unicorn.
Hey, only use your horn only when you have to.
You see what I'm saying?
Listen, that seems like
so sorry.
excellent advice
I'm just
from the only use your horn only when you have to.
That's right. It's very important.
I like how the unicorn says it as two statements. Only use your horn.
Period.
Only if you have to.
Period.
I'm like, yes, ma'am.
Right.
You know, she's
That's right up there with Bobby McFerrin telling people to don't worry.
be happy. And then he says it again, like, don't worry, be happy now.
I meant now.
Now, like
There was some confusion as to when.
don't worry.
Or the,
don't worry, be happy now. Oh, I get it. Bobby, you almost got that one past me. I was looking at my schedule, trying to figure out when to be happy and when not to worry. You meant now. You meant now. Okay. Slinky hit me with some box office numbers.
Number 5, World War Z. Its 3-week total, $159 million, bringing in $18.4 million this past weekend. It's dropped quite a bit.
There's a big drop from 3.
Yeah.
It's a big drop from 3, but I think we talked about this a little bit on the show, is that you got to have repeat visits.
Right.
Now, it's done well. It's done really well.
Yeah, but you know, this
But
kind
the
of movie
ending
doesn't repeat.
No, I don't want to. You know, I've been reading the book.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been reading the book, and it's good.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to repeat the book either. When I'm done with it, I'll have read it, and I'll feel good.
Right.
What's next?
Number 4, Monsters University, $19.7 million, bringing its 3-week total to $216.2 million.
This thing... Okay, I'm just going to say the
It's
thing.
a behemoth.
Here's the thing. How can this movie be both bringing in money and yet falling so far below expectation? Tell me.
You know, I think it's
I want to
because-
know because both have happened.
I think that the studios just thought it's Pixar. It's Monsters Inc. You know, a lot of people, Movie Todd, for example, find Monsters Inc. to be their absolute favorite Pixar movie. But I think that what they didn't count on is the fact, as Ken Dog has pointed out repeatedly on this show when we talked about it, college doesn't appeal to children.
You know, my two stink faces, they
Right.
love the movies. They love them. Riley doesn't know why he loves them, but Rusty loves movies.
Sure.
Okay. In fact, the other day, Rusty asked me if he and I could do more podcasting. You know, because he likes to even review the movies. He's done some
Right.
pretty good reviews.
Sure.
You know, it's saying a lot when you consider how horrible it reviews his old man is. So the thing is, when we got out of Despicable Me, we walked past the Monsters Inc. movie
Right.
poster. And he did like his funny little dance. And he goes, Monsters Inc. or Monsters College Monsters or whatever it is.
Right.
University. And I said, oh, do you guys want to see it? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, oh, wow. You know, and then the other day. So now the other day, I have that in the back of my head. And I'm trying to find something to do with the boys. And I think to myself, nobody wants to see The Lone Ranger, but maybe we'll go see.
Right.
Maybe we'll go see The Lone Ranger because, you know, I know Rusty can take that mess.
And I got to tell you, on a side note, I've decided I want to see The Lone Ranger.
Just because it's turned into such a stinker?
Because it's such a stinker.
Yeah.
There is such a huge. I hate to lead us down some sort of rabbit trail here, but you know, one of the big things about this movie is that the critics have torn it apart terribly desperately right from the start. And even the editor of this film got on his Facebook page and wrote a rant about how the critics have destroyed a film that was really actually very good.
You know, it's one of those when you're using your app on your phone and it says, fans say go, critics say no.
Right.
You know, they ripped off our hate and great with that, by the way. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, you know, this either or business. But so anyway, fans say go. And this film coming out of the theater now, you know, that's how they do these polls, and then
Right.
they take the fan reviews that are on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I bring that up because it's not actually easy to be counted among the Rotten Tomatoes faithful.
Yeah.
So when you have to kind of go through a review process and you sign up to go on Rotten Tomatoes, and then when you first start writing reviews, they don't get published.
No.
And so for them to say overwhelming, so what I'm saying is those fan critics tend to be critics. You don't
Right.
see on the Rotten
They're people
Tomatoes
like you or I.
Yeah, you don't see people on the Rotten Tomato feed that are like,
I saw one movie last month.
right, no, negative.
Right.
So they are overwhelmed. This film is at like 90-something% fan approval.
And it's like 20% critic
Yes,
approval.
that is insanity sauce.
Right. And so I kind of want to see it just because there is such a disparagingly huge margin between how the critics have shredded this film, and even the studio is talking about how unfair the critics were. So I don't know.
So
we'll
anyway,
see.
I was going to take him to see that, and I looked up a review, and it just said, you know what, it's really not kid appropriate.
Right.
So I was like, okay, you know, all right, I'll take it. I don't want to take the risk. You know, it didn't.
Right.
The trailers looked kid appropriate, but okay, if it's not, it's not. And so I said to them then, do you want to go see Monsters University instead? And they actually said, no, let's just hang out. So the boys,
Ouch.
the boys chose hanging
out.
over going to see a movie, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't appeal, you know? And the whole prequel thing too. I think kids have trouble with the whole idea of a prequel. There's no tension.
agree.
You know they're going to be okay and stuff. So number 3, The Heat, $24.7 million, bringing its 2-week total to 86.3.
Speaking of the heat, now I know why that light was off when we got in
Yeah,
here.
it sure did get warm in
because
here fast.
it's the AC in the old studio not cranking today.
Yeah. So the Heat, surprising, sticking around in the number 3 slot. So
Well, and this is one that is. Have you noticed they're trying to? The critics kind of suddenly got behind it.
yeah,
Did you see that? It's
kind of at the last minute
Melissa
they went.
McCarthy is brilliant.
All the
we
critics-
already knew that crap.
The critics kind of thought, oh wait, this one's doing good. No, we liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it was
it's
good.
good. It's good.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy remake the Buddy Team because it's for women.
Number 2, The Lone Ranger, $29.2 million debut, itty bitty tiny baby debut for this one.
Yeah, this is kind of, we can hope something. Here's what we can hope. We can hope that Gore Verbinski is about to see his budgets get cut on his films.
And Jerry Bruckheimer.
And they're going to have to make things that, let me say, well, like we were talking about earlier, consumption versus, right? So consumption, the film is failing.
Right.
People don't want to see this. So why is that? It's because they've eaten too much pizza. Right? Like like Pirates of the Caribbean, they were like, I like this pizza.
Right.
And Pirates of the Caribbean 2, they were like, well, and I like this pizza. Pirates of the Caribbean 3, 4 through 7 or whatever, they were like, I'm kind of full. And now they've pushed themselves away from the table.
Right. And in the number 1 spot, Despicable Me 2, bringing in, get this, $83.5 million. That is over double what the Lone Ranger brought in.
Yeah, everything online is like, hey, everybody, watch Despicable Me crush the Lone Ranger. But we already knew that was going to happen.
Right.
We already knew it was going to happen. We knew that because numbers for Monsters, Inc. were down, obviously they're not bad numbers. $216 million.
Right.
But not the numbers you're expecting from a top-tier Pixar film.
Unlike
this thing
something
wasn't
like
Cars, guys.
World War Z, which is still trending better than they thought.
Yeah. So, the thing is, Despicable Me has everything. We talked about this last week on the show. Everything that we like coming back for round 2, and that's okay when you're on the sequel.
Yeah.
That's okay, and it's a good, it's a good movie.
So there you have it.
There you have it.
We're going to be right back in just a minute with
That's
some
a long,
big
dramatic
news.
pause.
It was dramatic. It was what we call in the geriatrics industry a pregnant pause.
That's what we call it in the geriatrics industry. And suddenly everything really, really disturbed Rob a little bit. Wow, that was weird.
Woohoo! 8th time's the charm.
I prefer to go for 3, my friend.
All right. You're listening to Lights Camera Cleveland. This is Hollywood Slinky. That's Rob Alderman, and we're going to be right back with some big news. Don't go away.
Hallelujah.
I've been a desperate man. I've been sheltered by a lonely dream. But there's a stranger here, looking back above the bed through the sin. And every night I throw you out, leave you stranded on a boulevard. You love it how I use you up, I used you like I used them all. For the band singing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You're all gone, yeah, you're all gone. If I could have a simple love, how would it feel and what would it mean? I'd only trade you away for Mary Magdalene. Oh, it wouldn't make me a saint, it wouldn't make me a king. Then I wouldn't have to wait around for the real thing. With a band singing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
And we are back. You're listening to Lights, Camera, Cleveland.
That is my favorite radio show.
With me, as always, the Hollywood Slinky.
That's me.
With him, as always, AMC Mike.
That's me.
That's part of the gig.
With AMC Mike and the Hollywood Slinky, as always, is Rob Alderman.
Oh, man. You see what we did there?
We just turned that around.
The circle of life. Something, something else. I don't remember any of the words.
I love you, Elton John. I love you.
We're all still supposed to pretend that's fantastic, right?
Something like that. Hey, guess what time it is?
It's time for the big news.
This is the part of the show where we have scoured the interwebs to find all of the fascinating things that have happened in Hollywood and in the movie business over the course of the last week, and we have now digested them down to only the things that are worth caring about, and we're going to share them with you
How
now.
much of this did we let Variety.com digest down for?
Actually, very little.
What?
Normally,
The heck you say?
quite
The
a bit.
heck you say?
Today, not so much.
Okay.
Not so much.
Can
You know,
you-
else, you know what else we've eliminated as a source? We no longer allow the LA Times to be a source, which is a huge deal.
Really?
Yeah, they did this thing. They call it a paywall. Not such a fan.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know they did that.
They just started. They went with this paywall feature, and I said, I can go elsewhere.
Yeah, like anywhere else.
Everywhere else.
I mean, if I wanted to, I'd just go and hop on the internet and Google big news with the word movie. And I'd be like, hey, LA Times, take that mess. What up? That's what I say, by the way. I'm going to start saying that for the rest of the segment when I feel like I've done something clever. What up? If you could just follow me around forever doing that, that's like our version of shake and bake.
Let's talk about the big news.
Okay, I'm
Please.
ready.
All right, first up is The Sword is being redrawn by Hader. Lakeshore Entertainment and Hopscotch Features just announced that the action-adventure film The Sword is being written by David Hayter, who wrote Watchmen and the first two X-Men films. They're taking this, basically it's an adaptation of this very popular graphic novel by the Luna brothers, Jonathan and Joshua Luna. It's about this paraplegic girl who discovers that her family's brutally murdered by this mysterious trio of god creatures, and so she finds this sword and it lets her walk again, and so then she goes out to kill everyone.
And we all shed tears because, I mean, hey, paraplegic walking, that's big time. And then we're like,
It is.
I didn't say what up yet. Wait.
No, you just said it.
Wait till I say it.
Say what?
You know. AMC Mike, I'm sure that you were about to actually add something to this.
I was
Tell us
just-
about this.
Because let me
graphic
tell you
I
what
was
was
just gonna
happening.
say-
Let me tell you what was happening in Mike 1 and Mike 2. A lot of nothing.
Yeah. It's an amazing comic book.
Is it really?
Yes.
I've never seen
We were, you know what? AMC Mike and I bought like 4 issues right in the middle of the run just to see what it was about, and it was
it's
pretty
a whole
impressive.
run? It wasn't
Yeah, it was
made
a
as
graphic-
a
It wasn't just a graphic
It wasn't
novel, like,
made
it
as
was
a
a-
graphic novel?
No.
It was-
Correct.
Who made it? Who?
The Luna
The
brothers.
Luna brothers.
Well, no, I
It's-
mean,
it's an
was there-
indie comic, so
Oh, there was no, like...
right.
The only thing I don't like about it... okay, let me tell you. I hate to even say this because it's so petty. I just hate the name. Like, The Sword.
The Sword.
That's like how I feel. I feel like it is
It's
so-
only okay.
It feels so nerdy.
It's only okay if you cast Sean Connery.
Like, yeah.
I was in the movie called The Sword.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
Like,
done by the Luna brothers.
They
yeah,
killed
exactly.
him right
they're,
away.
they're artists. Like, I feel like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're all going to, like, they're going to probably go do this thing, and it's going to be great.
right.
And, I mean, you know, if it's, well, you know what? Let's be honest. Actually, Watchmen, X-Men 2, they're not batting a thousand. So, but, you know what I mean? Here's the thing is, I feel like we're going to be like, hey, everybody, let's go see The Sword.
Yeah.
Like it's going to hit preview review
know-
time, and we're all going to be like, great.
I'm not gonna. No, I will buy a T-shirt and happily go because it is that good.
How great.
Well, the
movie with
comic was
sword.
that good. You're forgetting how well
I-
these guys can
I'm
jack
having-
things up.
I'm having a little faith.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm for the faith.
Someone's got to have a little faith in this
What
group.
is? You're the
Next
only
up,
one.
Guillermo
Wait,
del.
wait. I have a question for AMC Mike. Nope. No, friend.
Who's you?
No.
Go ahead. Follow that rainbow to your dreams.
Here's what I was gonna say. AMC Mike, what is so great about the comic?
It's been several years, so like I don't remember names of characters and things, but it was just very strong. It was
a strong sword.
The thing that I remember most about it is there was an issue where the entire thing was literally a sword fight from start to finish between this little human girl and this god guy with a sword, and they were using these swords to make like giant sand monsters and tidal waves and things. And I just remember that like the whole issue had like one line of dialogue in it, and it was on the very last page. And I just remembered thinking,
but there was story being told. It
Right.
wasn't just a fight.
and I remember thinking, well, that was epic.
When you
Yeah.
saw this movie, here's a question for AMC Mike. You ready?
I haven't seen the movie
I
yet.
mean, when you saw this comic book and you read it, did you think this would be good as the Sword movie? I'm serious. Sometimes I read comics and I think this would make a great movie. So AMC, wait,
I didn't read enough of it.
It kind of fell into the Neil Gaiman feel a little bit, and that's always weird because you always want his
like
stuff.
Neil Gaiman Sandman or Neil Gaiman Doctor
Yeah, like-
Who series.
Neil Gaiman, it's supposed to be amazing, but
Like-
it never quite actually delivers.
No, hush. No, more like Books of Magic, Neil Gaiman, which I realize.
Okay.
And
You mean Harry
so
Potter?
and so like you want it to be good, but you're afraid they're gonna mess it up.
Sure.
Like you're like, this would be an amazing movie. I don't know if anyone would be able to do it, and so it kind of fell into that. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to.
I'm
do
sure that
Fair
M. Night Shyamalan could pull it off. Remember what a great job he did with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
It. Oh.
Or what was this latest one that he did that no one said he did?
The Crappening? No, there was one after that.
Yeah, no, there was
How does
one more.
how does some people continue to make films? That's going to be next week's
They
topic.
sought him out and then made him be quiet. I forget which one it was. It just came out a few weeks
It was
ago.
unforgettable. Yeah. Guillermo del Toro news part 1. Guillermo del Toro says today that it is very unlikely, quote, that Hellboy 3 will happen. He says that Hellboy's global box office take of just $160 million when it had an $85 million budget wasn't enough to really warrant a larger budget for the third film, and he doesn't think he can make the third film that he wants to make on another $85 million budget. Combining that with the fact that audience expectation of what giant summer tentpole blockbuster movies are supposed to look like based on, increasing special effects, he really doesn't think that he can deliver Hellboy 3 on that sort of budget. So probably not going to ever happen.
I hate that conversation is even going on. And the reason that I hate it is because, sorry, AMC Mike just got us to...
We think someone has just walked into the studio and they aren't supposed to
isn't
be
it
here.
funny? Isn't it? It's funny that like we sit there looking at each other, and then the female in the group stands up to go check out the danger. Good job, husband.
Well, we can't sacrifice the
you
host.
did a great job.
Never
You
sacrifice
did a
the
great
host.
job of protecting her.
Who was it? Was it anyone good? Was it anyone good? So no.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Fro Daddy. That's what I present. So,
I thought it was the Matador. All those people look the same to me.
DJs.
Yes.
what? Here's the deal. I hate that this is even a conversation because who says that in order to have a good movie, he's got to have $130 million?
Guillermo del Toro.
This is the problem with we've just run into the first issue with what sucks about life after Pacific Rim. Is that already he's forgotten that he knows how to make hauntingly beautiful films on a small budget and that people like them? Does he think that like the first Hellboy wasn't? I mean, Hellboy 1 came out after so many blockbuster tentpole films.
Right.
And it still did great.
Well, he believes that his third film, he has this trilogy in mind, and it ends with Hellboy kind of becoming the master of Armageddon, or whatever that
For
whole
good or not.
prophecy is. And to do that, he's got to show the apocalypse, and that costs $160 million.
Well, dadgummit, if Seth Rogen can show the apocalypse, then Guillermo del freaking Toro can. I think it's ridiculous. I really want a super good BRPD film.
There you go.
That's what I really want
Well,
more than anything.
that's a different topic because I agree with you on that. I don't know if this has been said or not. I am very okay with them not making a Hellboy 3 movie as long as he finishes the story in a cartoon.
Well, he can't finish the story in a comic book.
Yeah,
because
not in a comic book.
part of this same story is that Mike Mignola, who is the creator of Hellboy and created it in the comic book, has already said that he will not allow the Hellboy film franchise to be concluded in a comic book adaptation because he feels very strongly that film Hellboy is not comic book Hellboy and never the two
Agreed.
shall meet.
Very agreed.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, but I'm sorry. I'm going to nerd out one more time before we move on to the next piece of news.
Sure.
This is bullcrap. This is bullcrap because I want to see the storyline end.
That's what
and
I'm
I want to
saying.
see it end in a movie. I don't want to see it ended in a cartoon. I want to go now that you know what? The three of us have never been to a Hellboy movie together. And we all like Hellboy. We like
Right.
number 1. We thought number 2 was
Fun.
good but not quite realized. So now that he's made Pacific Rim, like Guillermo, you listen to me
I am
right
listening.
now. Yeah, you listen to me right now.
Hello.
If you could get $200 million
A 200 million.
for a built-in fan base of people who like robots and monsters, then you can get $200 million to finish Hellboy.
But I had Travi.
Yeah, get Travi for this. I wouldn't be against it. You know what? We can make fun of this entire thing all we want. The fact that Travis is from this town and whatnot, and that he won't return my tweets now. Yeah, I'm calling you out.
To be fair, none of us do, Rob.
That was hurtful.
But it was just
It was hurtful.
What up?
Psh.
Thanks, man. I was going to see if you had my back. Anyway, we could talk about it, but look, Pacific Rim, by all accounts, now that the reviews started hitting today, and I know we're going to talk about it more in a little bit, but the reviews are freaking good, okay? And certainly
we have not
as good.
read the same reviews.
And listen, there are I've been reading a ton today, so I don't know what you've read.
Variety canned it.
Oh, well, yeah, and we hate Variety.
Well, but Variety is also the trade paper of the industry. So
I agree,
I'm just
but we
saying.
hate them,
You know who I hate?
Don't say me,
Okay.
because I know you love me.
Well, then let's move on to the next.
and don't
piece
even
of
look at
news.
AMC Mike. That would be inappropriate.
Next
What's
up,
the next news?
Disney is going to be okay. They still have Star Wars and Marvel. Basically, given the disappointing performance of The Lone Ranger, Disney is going to actually have to write off the Jerry Bruckheimer Western as a total loss. Analysts are saying that the write-off could be as much as $190 million.
So almost everything they had to spend on it.
it's
Almost the whole thing is a loss.
crazy.
So I'm guessing at that number they would have to be counting like marketing, like they've lost big everywhere.
Eventually your losses exceed the budget of the film.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because at this point,
Your losses start to include distribution costs, and
because they're losing more than they've spent
certainly.
on the movie.
that's how math works.
Daggum math.
All right, last up, Guillermo del Toro news part 2. Guillermo del Toro and Charlie Kaufman are writing Slaughterhouse 5. Guillermo del Toro has announced that his pal Charlie Kaufman, who's the guy who wrote Being John Malkovich and a couple of other kind of weird, quirky films like that the two of them are getting together to write an adaptation of Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5.
I saw this. I don't remember if I read it. I think I read it late last night on the Zeit feed. I might have read it this morning. I didn't even find this tweet worthy, bro.
I don't really. Yeah, I think that my whole reaction is.
I feel weird about it. Like, is that what we need? Like, okay, ready, Guillermo?
Yes, sir.
You're gonna put your efforts into Slaughterhouse 5 instead of giving me a Hellboy 3?
Oh, but you don't understand.
No, you don't understand, you chubby, heavily accented guy. You poor man's Robert Rodriguez. Is it Robert Rodriguez,
Yes.
the guy who made Machete? Is he the one who made
Yes.
Machete?
Yeah.
You're a poor man's Robert Rodriguez. Rodriguez has vision. He made Spy Kids 1, 2, and 3.
And 4.
He never took no for an answer when they cut his budget. He said, I will continue to put bow ties on little children and give them personal helicopters and sunglasses that shoot laser guns.
And if I need to find a way to make this movie look like it's high quality, darn it, I'll cast George Lopez.
That's right. And who was it that made Shark Boy and Lava Girl? Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, and who was Shark Boy? Taylor freaking Lautner.
See, that is
Hello?
vision. And who made Machete? Robert Rodriguez. And who made Desperado? Robert Rodriguez. And who made From Dusk Till Dawn? Robert Rodriguez.
And don't forget Spy Kids, All the Time in the World.
Exactly my point. So you're going to tell me you're going to go work on Slaughterhouse 5?
Instead of Hellboy 3?
Does anyone even remember what Slaughterhouse is about anymore?
It's about Billy Pilgrim coming unstuck in time because the Tralfamadorian aliens have taken him hostage, and they're basically putting him on exhibit like it's this zoo thing.
Everybody knows it's really about book burning, Slinky.
Right.
It's really about book burning. If I wanted to know about Billy Pilgrim, I would go look up some obscure Atlantic recording artist that failed when they toured behind Melissa Etheridge.
Oh, yes.
That's what I would do.
I'm just saying.
Well, in a minute,
I want a cheeseburger.
You do? I want a cheeseburger,
yeah,
too.
but what kind is the question?
A cheeseburger, too. Electric Boogaloo.
What kind of cheeseburger do you want, Cleveland?
We're going to be back in a few minutes. We're going to be asking Rob 5 questions about This Is the End.
Jared, check out our sweet moves.
But I still wake up, I still see your ghost. Oh Lord, I'm still not sure what I stand for. Oh, what do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know anymore. Found a martyr in my bed tonight. Stops my bones from wandering. Just who I am, who I am, who I am. Oh, who am I? Well, some nights I wish that this all would end, 'cause I could use some friends for a change. And some nights I'm scared you'll forget me again. Some nights I always win. But I still wake up, I still see your ghost. Oh Lord, I'm still not sure what I stand for. What do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know.
So this is it. I sold my soul for this. Wash my hands of that for this. I miss my mom and dad for this. No. When I see stars, when I see stars, that's all they are. When I hear songs,
They sound like a swan, so come on. Well, daddy's sick, daddy's up. 5 minutes in and I'm bored again. I'm not sure if anybody understands. This one is not for the folks at home. Sorry to leave, mama had to go. Who the
No.
die alone, all dried up in the desert sun. My heart is breaking for my sister and the calm that she called love. And then I look into my nephew's eyes. Man, you wouldn't believe the most amazing things that can come from some terrible
And we're back. Welcome to Lights, Camera, Cleveland. And our singing choir.
And still,
No Bon Jovi.
still I labor in vain with no Bon Jovi. We're going to give out a couple of shout-outs. Are you ready?
Oh, it's shout-out time.
The first shout-out that we're going to give
Oh, shout-outs. Yay.
is to
Shout-outs.
the Jared Powers, who is watching us and saying that we have good dance moves.
We do have good dance moves.
I agree with that.
Well done, the Jared Powers.
I think our dance moves are adequate.
they are exceptional. I
would-
take exception to
I
them,
would
in
take
fact.
exceptional. I would go with exceptional. The
Standard
other
dials.
shout out is to Puppy, who sent in the answer to the question that we had earlier, which was, which movie did M. Night Shyamalan,
The Ding Dong.
which one did he mess up last? And that was After Earth, starring Will Smith in a movie where his kid got higher billing than him. By the way, that's never going to happen. I'm retiring way before Rusty can get famous. Way before Rusty can have a legitimate radio show.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like...
Wait. We don't have a legitimate
That's
radio
what I'm
show.
saying.
It'll be like Rusty Alderman in the All-Star 7, and
Like,
you will
that's
be
fine.
like you'll be like number 6.
No, I won't even be in it. He'll say things like, hey, guys, I'd like my dad to come up and jam with me. That's never going to happen, Rusters. Never, or on his big syndicated radio show. You know, my dad and his friend used to have a show. So I'd like to just have him on. We're going to talk about the way radio was back then. You mean sucky? You know? That's like what his co-host will say. He's going to have like a funny co-host, and they'll be like, you mean like the
Sorry.
sucky radio? And then we'll come on, and then he'll be like, hey, Dad. Hey, Mr. Ryan. Yeah. We're never doing that. Ever. You ready?
I learned everything I know about radio from the Slinky. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you ready for this? You ready for the next segment?
I am ready for this.
What's it called?
It's called 5 Questions. This is the part of the show where we're going to ask Rob Alderman 5 questions because he went and saw a movie.
What movie did he see?
Rob went and saw a movie. We're going to ask him 5 questions about it.
You don't remember what movie I saw? You ditched me at the movie theater, and now you can't remember what
He
movie
went
I
and
saw?
saw This Is the End.
I got listen, folks at home. I got ditched by Slinky
Twice.
and Ken Dog in the same night.
And Ken Dog, by the way, feels so guilty about it. He wasn't even man enough to show up to face you today on the radio.
No, he wasn't.
Rest the wind until your heart's content.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
I would just like to say, Rob,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
why was I not invited to go see this movie?
Next time we have boys' night, I will invite you.
You better.
I didn't mean to listen. I didn't mean to not invite the most manly of us.
Exactly. Look, just because I have more facial hair than you guys.
I
Ouch,
can't.
yeah,
You know,
we
I
can't
can't.
even
No, we
respond
can't
to
even.
that.
We can't do that. we
Let's
can't do
move
that.
on.
You know, there's something sacred. AMC Mike. There are some things sacred, and guys' movie night is still one of them. I do love you, and I like to watch movies with you. I do, but I'm not going to back off that. I'm not going to back off.
Okay, well, how was your guys' movie night?
No, it
guy
was-
movie night.
No, it was boring because
Because it was a guy movie night
It was
instead
guy
of
movie night.
instead of a friend movie night, which it could have been.
So you saw This Is the End, starring every famous comedian
Ever.
currently popular ever,
Currently, yeah,
all going to a party at James Franco's house during the middle of the apocalypse.
yes.
Question number 1.
Ready?
Which celebrity has the coolest death?
Michael Cera.
Really?
Isn't that in the preview?
It
Hands
surprises
down.
me because it's in the preview.
You want to know what? You only have, without giving any spoilers,
Right.
the scene with Michael Cera in the preview is but a tiny taste of how he dies. If you could imagine that going on for about another 4 minutes.
All right.
You know, they don't shy away. The camera doesn't pan away. Michael Cera dies in glory. Like, when that movie wrapped, Michael Cera high-fived his friends. He
All right.
dies gloriously.
All right.
All right.
Question 2.
Number 2. I kind of wish Ken Dog was here because he
We
gets
all
yeah,
kind
we
of
do.
wish.
I miss him.
But only kinda.
Kinda. Because he was so squirrely about the fact that I wanted to see this movie. You know,
Okay.
because I'm a girl. Were there girls in the audience? Were there or was this a completely guy-filled audience, all wearing sunglasses, not looking at each other because no one wanted to admit they'd go see a movie like this?
No, the people in the theater were having a good time.
Okay.
There was a group of girls that were in the theater, and I will be very careful with what I'm going to say next.
Probably a good idea.
The language that they were using amongst themselves, were it not for their female voices, I would not have assumed that they were female. So the one group of ladies that went to the movie and did seem to have a good time
Right.
were rough around the edges.
So they weren't girly.
It was not even just that they weren't girly, but it's not that. There's lots of ladies that aren't girly. They were dudish.
Okay.
They were just dudish, is what I'm saying. Like,
Camptown
and I'm
ladies
not even
see this film, dudish.
Yeah,
dudish.
like I'm not even saying. And listen, that's not a veiled. That's not a veiled sexuality joke either.
All
like,
right.
like what I'm saying is, they were. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying. By the way, they were dudish. You know what I'm saying? Dudish. What I'm saying is, they spoke and behaved like a bunch of dudes. There were also belches.
Right.
This is not always true, but I don't want to shatter any illusions you two have. When girls get together, we talk like that.
Yeah, but we don't want to know. We don't want to see it.
You know
it's
what?
like chewing gum in classroom. We don't want to see it.
You may not
or
believe
hear
this.
it.
Listen, you may not believe this, AMC Mike.
All right.
But this ain't my first rodeo, and I'm letting you know. Listen, I'm aware that ladies can be every bit as foul as dudes. Don't
We've
get me
seen
wrong.
Bridesmaids.
You know, yeah, and laughed at it and loved Bridesmaids. So let me just say that's not my first rodeo with that sort of thing. What I'm saying is this was excessive by any measure. It was more than.
Was it excessive just for a group of people to be doing that, or was it excessive because it was a group of women doing it?
It was excessive. It was excessive for anyone. The fact that it was 3 ladies was interesting.
Okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
Question 3.
Yeah.
How offensive is this movie? Because here's the thing: is with this group of comedians, okay, you know, it is safe to say that it could be funny in a kind of a just, you know, a little bit crass, just up in your face way like Pineapple Express, or this movie could be full on, you know, Hangover.
Yeah, this film is interesting because they play themselves. A lot of the dialogue, they miss the beats, the comedic beats that you're used to in a film that let you know when you're watching a joke.
Right.
Okay? Like when you're seeing something and you know, okay, this is my cue to laugh.
One shot
Like-
one shot delivery, second shot
This-
reaction.
Right. This was funny in a way that I feel is funny when, like, you and me and Postelnik hang out. Like, it was, like, just fun. Like, the things they were saying were funny. Most of the time, I didn't even laugh out loud. I just enjoyed feeling like I was watching a conversation I'm kind of used to. So,
Sure.
so with that said, it also then is crass in a way that is typically only crass behind closed doors.
Okay.
Okay, like even a crass movie is only going to give you so much.
Right.
This movie, at its funniest moments, is when it is shocking with how crass it is. There's one scene between James Franco and Danny McBride where I had tears in my eyes as they were having an exchange, and even Seth Rogen looks like, I don't believe we're going to get this past the ratings board, like as it's happening. You know, and it's not just like, I'm not just talking about foul language. I'm not even certain that in that scene that they used words that we would consider to be foul. They were using a lot of technical scientific terms and some other
But that doesn't
terms.
make it less crass.
But it was unbelievably foul.
All right.
And I laughed. I'm not like Ken Dog. I'm not going to pretend I didn't see it.
All right. All right. Number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4.
All right. How kick butt was Hermione?
You know what?
Or was that all preview?
You know,
Tell us about
she
Emily
didn't
Watson.
have- you know what? She was good, but Hermione's growing up a bit graceful. It seemed like she was having to put it on a little bit. Like to even be in this, like to be in the movie, it's not the big shock. It's not like she's not like the young, pretty Betty White that we're like, oh look, Betty White's still making films. Like this is Emily Watson.
Right.
And so when she does the film, her scenes are full of good acting.
Sure. Okay.
And so was she kick butt? Yeah, I mean you see her with the axe and
Yeah.
the thing, and it's kind of misunderstood. It's kind of understood as you watch the film that she's out there somewhere kicking butt where you don't see it
Right.
being kicked. But you know, the preview gave you everything
Yeah,
you needed
yeah.
from Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, question 5. This is one of Seth Rogen's this is his I think it's his second directorial film. I think Green Hornet was his first.
Yeah.
How's he do directing a comedy like this? Because not only are comedies difficult to direct, but in this particular one, it's a difficult subject matter because they're all themselves.
Yeah. As hard as it is for me to say, he has created a film. It's a funny film, but it's not a movie. It's full of so much depth and nuance that at times I couldn't enjoy it in the ways that I would enjoy a comedy. Like, I did enjoy the movie, okay. It would have been a lot more fun with people with me. Okay, it was that kind of thing where you'd laugh because you're around the people you would feel free talking to that way, you know? But I think he did a great job. I mean, the acting in the film is good. The shot selection is good. It never drags. You know, the tempo is really excellent.
Man, I wish he'd direct this show.
But man, you and me
We
both.
need someone.
But more than anything,
This show drags like Alan Gold's on a Saturday night. You know what I'm saying?
What? Did that just happen? Anyway, yeah, he does a good job.
Awesome.
He directs the film, and it's good.
That is so fantastic, my friend.
I feel like it is.
We ought to go to break.
Yeah, we are go break. And this one is because I know your skills.
We've got to get out to the commercial now.
Yeah, we're going to.
Oh, yes.
In a minute, we're going to be back with the preview review. I'm going to let you pretend in your mind, sweet, sweet listeners, that Hollywood Slinky is singing this song to you right now because he loves you so much. I know he withholds it from you, so close your eyes. Picture that sweet, sweet DJ singing you this song. Lights, camera, Cleveland.
Wake up in the morning and I raise my weary head. I've got an old coat for a pillow, and the earth was last night's bed. I don't know where I'm going, only God knows where I've been. I'm a devil on the run, a six-gun lover, a candle in the wind. Yeah! Brought into this world with this sail born with sin. Well, at least they gave me something I didn't flavor. And I hope you'll understand, 'cause I've lived life to the fullest. Let this boy die like a man, staring down a bullet. Let me make my final stand. Shot down in a blaze of glory. Take me now, won't you? I'm going out in a blaze of glory. Lord, I never drew first, but I drew first blood and no one side. Call me
They were not favorable.
Slinky was just reading me Variety's review of Pacific Rim.
Unkind.
Citizen Kane, it ain't.
Thankfully.
But let me tell you something, my friend.
I'm listening.
Sometimes
I'm listening, Guillermo.
when my car is dirty,
Yeah, where do you take it?
when it's nasty,
Tell me about your nasty car, Guillermo.
when I look at my Pinto and I think, you're nasty.
Such a nasty.
Shame on you for being so nasty, my little Pinto.
Oh, thank you, caller. Thank you. Whoever you are. Thank you so much.
You're on the whoop. You're on the whoop, caller.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm sorry, but I wasn't listening to the whole show.
Oh, that's okay.
What was the review about? Because I don't want to see that.
Oh, the review of the film? Are you talking about 5 Questions?
Yes.
Oh, 5 Questions was for This Is the End. It's not a film that I would think you'd... I think it's out of theaters, actually.
No, it's still playing out by Exit 20 one more week.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but I don't...
No, that was one... That's one that we don't highly recommend for the general populace.
It sounds not too good.
No. You know what? That one falls under the... definite...
It's a raunchy
you don't
guy.
even want to say... You don't
It's a
even want
type
to
of
say...
movie.
Yeah, you don't even want to say... what's the...
It's a raunchy guy comedy, and if you don't fall into the crowd that likes that sort of crass raunchy guy humor, it's not for you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not raunchy and I'm not a guy. I wanted to make sure. So I won't see that one.
I don't think that there was any worries that you were going to end up in that particular movie theater.
Oh.
So
These trailers, though, they look so good, and then they turn out to be really crummy.
you know what? Here's the thing with that movie, Carmi. You know what? You probably haven't. Have you ever listened to our podcast back in the day? Were you a listener, or just since we've been on the radio?
I have never heard of you before.
Well, when we started the podcast, one of the hardest things that we dealt with, to be completely serious for a minute, was how would we tackle the issue with seeing movies that we knew we weren't going to recommend? Like, how do you deal, particularly in a community,
In the buckle of the Bible
in the
Belt.
buckle of the Bible Belt, where you have a whole segment where you're telling people what to watch or what not to watch. And
So you have this responsibility to talk about movies like The Hangover or like This Is the End, even though you know that the people who are listening, it's not going to even remotely be something they would consider.
right, and we try to say that actually too. So I'm glad you called and asked, because that's definitely one to steer clear of.
Okay.
But when I said that it was a film, I'm going to take that moment though. I'm going to segue for just a second to say, of those kind of movies, it really did do something very unique which was that everyone in the film played themselves. There was no cameo. You know, everyone...
Because it was all cameos.
It was all cameo. It was all everybody being who they are.
Or who the public
Or
thinks
who the
they
public thinks that they are. And so it really did have that interesting piece to it, but I don't think everybody would like it. So, anyway, there you go.
Well, I appreciate it. Now, you carry on.
We will carry on.
Thanks. We love you.
Thank you. We love you, Carmi. Bye.
Bye.
There you go. She is correct.
Yes.
She would not want to see that movie.
No.
Not for everyone. Definitely not.
My car is so dirty.
Tell me about it.
I need to take it to Surf's Up.
Ooh, dirty car.
Sometimes I'm like, look at you, my Pinto. You'll need to be washed.
I can't. I got nothing for you. When I finally get tickled to the point of exasperation, that's it.
There you go.
That's it. It can only mean one thing.
It's time for the preview review, brought to you by this caller.
You want to take it?
It's Brett.
Oh, it's Brett. What's up, Brett? You got some sports?
The Braves just started.
Oh, thank goodness. We had heard that they might not.
With all this rain, I was worried.
They're in Miami.
What about all the Miami rain?
They're playing. It's inside.
Oh, whew.
What about all the inside rain?
No, the roof
Is on
Is
fire.
on fire.
Great minds, my friend. Great minds, my friend. Brett, you set that one up perfect. What other sports do we have going on, Brett?
The Phillies playing. The Phillies are playing the Nationals tonight.
Is that televised?
No.
But the Braves are, right?
Yeah.
So anything else? What's the score?
They just started.
Okay.
Hey, have you seen 42 yet?
No.
When are you going to see 42? Do you have iTunes?
No.
It just got released on iTunes.
I was going to tell you. I know somebody called in. Somebody called in. I was getting ready to call in.
Yeah. Well, we had another caller.
That's that. You know, Super Day, the guy who worked at the Banner.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
That was.
David Smith's wife.
What?
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's our numero uno.
She called.
Yeah, we love her. She's awesome.
She calls in. She goes and sees movies. You should go see 42. Go check it out. We'll talk to you later, Brett.
All right.
Be good. He's acknowledging what everyone knows. We have a listener. Her name is Carmi.
Well, no, I mean, if he was listening, that means we have at least two.
Yeah, but he's listening because he's going to give the sports.
Right, but I bet we have four. I bet we have four.
Carmi
listeners.
calls in because Carmi watches films and wants to know what she's going to go see or not go see. That's a completely different. That's like a completely different situation.
Look, I'm just taking whatever callers we can get.
Okay. You're on the Whoop.
Hi. I was wanting to hear a little bit more about the 42, the movie.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna hang up and hear you guys.
Oh.
Have you seen it?
You what?
Have you seen it?
No.
Do you want to?
Yes.
Did you know that it was filmed locally?
Well, yes, in Chattanooga.
Yeah, it was. Well, that's
local.
That's
local-ish.
Yeah, to a certain extent, 30 miles away. That's cool.
You make it sound like it was filmed in Los Angeles or something.
No, it was local. You're right.
Yeah, I mean that's local. Like there were a bunch of people from Cleveland that were in that film.
Yeah, I know.
You have any friends in it?
No. In fact, I was wanting to be a part of that
Really? Why didn't you go do it?
because I didn't find the right outfit.
Yeah, they were very particular about what people in the background were wearing.
Right.
Well, we can definitely talk about 42. We're getting ready to do the preview review, so we'll dedicate. Here's the deal: we're going to give you 60 full seconds of 42, and you're going to be amazed at how much reviewing can happen in 60 seconds. That sound fair?
Cool.
All right, here we go.
Hey, what's your name?
I'm Hippie Chick.
All
right, hippie chick. Here we go.
Thanks.
And now we have a new segment called 60 Seconds About 42 in honor of Hippie Chick. You ready?
Yeah, cool.
Here we go. On your mark, get set, go, Slinky.
I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm
go,
going.
go.
It had one of the best posters I've seen.
To me, it had one of the best trailer soundtracks that I've heard.
Really?
Remember, somebody actually called in to give us the song because I was looking for it.
See, I had difficulty with the trailer soundtrack because it was this hip-hop rap thing, and I felt like that they were maybe pushing a different message than what the film was.
Well, I can say this. Everybody who's seen 42 really, really likes it. That includes people that are local and people who aren't. The main criticism, Hippie Chick, of 42 is people wonder if it actually was rough enough.
Right,
To truly show the angle. Now, the director says it was.
But there are a lot of people who say that
It was
in reality
sugar-coated.
that it was sugar-coated and that it should have been a little more racist than
But
it was.
local starlet Phyllis Wilbanks, who is in the film,
The chocolate
and
junkie.
she's the chocolate junkie online for those of you on Twitter. She said that the film, like being there, it was terribly shocking, and she doesn't know what more. And she's pretty chill. Like, I mean,
she's pretty awesome.
She's she's not gonna get uptight over something that's not for real.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
And she just says, as we wind up these 60 seconds, that 42, it was shocking to be there, and she's not sure how much more they could have pushed
All
that.
right.
Final comment on 42 from the Unicorn.
Never stop believing. Miracles are everywhere.
There you go.
All
That's
right.
60 seconds on 42 for Hippie Chick. Now into the preview review.
First up, Grown Ups 2. This is the one everyone has been waiting for.
And by everyone, we're talking about the consumers.
This one stars Adam Sandler, Kevin James, Chris Rock, and David Spade, and is the follow-up to the film Grown Ups from a few years ago that starred the exact same people. Do you like how I just summed that up?
Are you allowed to give a hate or a great to a film that you hated the original?
I don't think so, but here's the thing.
Yeah, we are, because you guys Despicable Me.
But I
He
gave
hated it.
Oh, I graded it.
Well, now, here's the thing, though. I hated it in the preview review, but I was wrong when I watched it.
Right, exactly.
Right, but Rob was asking if we could grade something that we hated the original.
Yeah. Well, here's the crazy thing about Grown Ups is that Grown Ups, the original Grown Ups, was awful. Okay, I saw it. It was terrible.
You did see it?
I saw it on a free
How can that be?
saw it on a free HBO weekend.
That's crazy.
Well, you know what? I see.
No, we watched it. Someone brought it.
Oh no! You know what?
Yeah.
You're right. We saw it at my
Probably
mom's
the same
house.
person who
I
told you Ted sucked.
saw it at my mom's house over Christmas, right before we watched Ted.
Yeah, now I get it.
Awful.
Now, listen, if I'd have known that you'd been set up for destruction,
Yeah.
I would have understood this whole
So
time.
here's the deal. The first one was really bad. It was not funny at all. It was like all of the least funny tropes that these three comedians do strung together by a bunch of annoying wives. And that was Grown Ups.
Goodness, no,
It was
no.
terrible.
Well, I
Okay?
gave it a hate, and I stuck to it.
So, but it was also the highest grossing film of Adam Sandler's last 15 years.
Shoot me in the face.
Right. So this is a sequel, just following those four friends getting back together one more time, and it looks funnier than the first one did. I hate to say that.
Is that enough?
No, I'm hating it. But I'm being honest. This one looks better.
Funnier than the
It looks better than the first one. But I don't know that even being better than the first one, that it is good enough.
Well, you know what they say.
And it does have Taylor Lautner in it. I don't know how that's supposed to reassure us after seeing Abduction, but
You
there
can
you
take
go.
a turd and put it in a box with a rib, and it's still a turd inside.
This is true.
You know, AMC Mike, what are you going to give it?
I'm hating it.
Yeah, I'm hating this film straight up. This is the film that's killing everything about old comedians that I wish would just retire before they hurt my feelings.
I hate this because Kevin James is
No.
better than this movie.
No, he's proven that he's not because he did the first one. Now he's doing the sequel. This is my point.
Maybe someone's
he's just
got
at the
something on him.
beginning of his Sandlerism.
No, he is. The problem is that he is tied to Adam Sandler
Doesn't matter.
from a production company standpoint.
Yeah, well, you know what? Everybody part of Happy Sandler, all those guys that are part
Happy
of
Madison.
Happy Madison Productions used to make funny movies.
Right.
Okay, you could say what you want about Adam Sandler, but there was a time when he was on top.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that. It was a time where if you didn't laugh at it, the problem was with you. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like Billy Madison, funny. Happy Gilmore, funny. Even
somewhere
if you don't
around
like those,
somewhere
even if
around
you-
Big Daddy, it starts to go.
Yeah, Big Daddy, you get that first moment of I'm not sure you should make this, and then it's all downhill from there.
Right.
The same way, like David Spade never recovered from being on television,
Yeah.
and Chris Rock.
Has Chris Rock ever made anything good?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Chris Rock is actually just famous for being the donkey in Shrek.
But he.
Oh wait, no, he's not
wasn't.
that. Wait, he's somebody like that, right? Does he do
he's famous for Chris Rock is famous for Shanghai Nights. And
Shanghai Nights?
Yeah, with it's
That's a funny movie, actually.
yeah, it's
You like that fog that's entered the hallway?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
We're not like on fire or anything, are we?
Nobody's
I'm
told
not
us to
gonna
leave.
worry about
Shanghai
Maybe
Nights.
it's not the lights.
fire.
Maybe it's not the lights that are
It's
making
us.
it work.
What's up? What's up? The show is on fire.
Yeah. Anyway,
Other
but
than
it
the
was
roof.
him and Jackie Chan, and that's like his. And he was in The Fifth Element. He was he was the
Yeah.
annoying character that almost completely ruined the movie.
No, that's the other guy who's like Chris Rock. That's my point that I'm about to make.
No,
You're right.
Tucker?
You're talking
Chris
about Chris
Tucker.
Chris
Tucker.
Tucker.
Yeah.
Chris Tucker. And this is the point, is that Chris Rock really, he's famous for playing Nat X on Saturday Night Live. You see, after Saturday Night Live, he goes nowhere. He wasn't even the donkey in Shrek. Eddie Murphy had to come back, or Eddie Murphy came back to do what Chris Rock should have been doing. Right? That should have been a lock for you, Chris Rock. You blew it. Your agent is blowing it. The whole thing is awful. And this is why. No, Kevin James does not get a pass just because he did Paul Blart. He doesn't. Unfortunately, he had one movie that showed the promise.
Well, and he was great in King of Queens.
Yeah.
Classic television show.
Yeah, I'm not counting the TV, because if you count TV, you have to give all these guys props because all of them were Saturday Night Live stars that were good at what they did. Spade was really good at what he did
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah, he was.
Chris Rock was super good at what he did
Well,
back then.
Kevin James is unfortunately tied to Happy Madison because of the I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry movie that he had done.
Known as
him
one
and
of the
Adam
worst
Sandler.
movies ever.
Right. And so ever since then, I mean, he showed up in You Don't Mess with the Zohan, one of the second worst movies ever. Grown Ups. And
He's got one, man. You're going to have to admit it. He's got one, and that's Paul Blart, which exceeded expectations.
Right.
Yeah.
Paul Blart looked like it was a movie at the end of Adam Sandler's career and just happened to be really funny. And man should do so by actually keeping it clean.
Right.
Remember, it kind of broke the mold there and said, I'm going to keep it clean. Next thing you know, you got these four dudes peeing in a pool. And that's supposed to be humor.
Right.
Well, it's not humor when Dusty does it. When I'm in a pool, nobody laughs when Dusty says, I
Okay,
peed in
hang
it.
on. Dusty laughs. I mean,
Dusty
we
does
need to be
laugh.
fair. Dusty
Yeah, you know what
laughs.
was funny is a little while earlier I was getting up to go use the restroom here, and AMC Mike was saying, AMC Mike was like, "Whoa!" She had this funny look on her face because I was getting up and putting my sandals on, and for some reason she thought I was going to use the facilities
no,
here in the
that was
room.
Slinky, not me.
And
Only use your horn. Only when you have to.
exactly, only when you have to, and so I was gonna run to the back room, and she's like, "Whoa! I thought this was gonna happen," and I said, "You want to be part of guys' night? You want to be part of guy movie night? This is what happens." And she said, "No, it doesn't." And I said, "You've never hung out with Dusty." That's surely not actual smoke. If it is,
I
we're
don't
going.
know.
If it is, then we're like on the air at the right time.
It's crazy.
I think it's just a fog.
I think that we've just got like some sort of like horrible fog on the
Maybe
window
it's a
glass.
zombie creating like a zombie mist.
I don't know. All right, maybe it's because we're talking too much about this movie.
Yeah, that's
All right.
that's-
Three-way hate. Three-way hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it.
And
a
you know what?
three-way
I
hate.
feel confident enough about this to even say that Ken Dog's giving it a hate.
I'm writing all these guys off. They're done now.
Yeah.
They're done.
Just about, yeah.
All right, next up, the Fruitvale Station. This is the true story of a guy named Oscar, who's a 22-year-old San Francisco resident who crosses paths with friends, enemies, family, and strangers on the last day of 2008. This is starring Michael B. Jordan and is made by some of the guys who did the film Chronicle a few years ago.
This film did very well at Cannes. Everybody loved it. They were crying in the theater. You know, the story itself is so famous that there are no spoilers. The truth is that this guy dies. Right. The main character's gonna get shot by the police. Right. And I don't know about you, and I'm gonna speak for AMC Mike because AMC Mike loves the good things in life, the kind things and the sweet things. So I'm gonna guess that she hasn't watched the footage of this guy being killed.
No,
that doesn't. That
not.
seems like something she would steer away from.
Now,
But
this guy's a victim in that he makes a series of very bad choices.
he ends up, you know what? He ends up being connected to the wrong people, and he's on a train, just trying to go watch some fireworks when some dudes that don't like him and his folk start trouble on the train. As a result, these tired, this is in true life, I can't speak for the film,
Right.
but in true life, the overworked, tired police officers get these guys off a train and begin to interrogate them, and they say to this guy, you know, lay down and shut up or I'm going to tase you, and the cop pulls a gun out and shoots him in the back. And it was supposed to be his taser, but instead, you know, being tired and overworked and scared because there's a mob at this point getting off the train saying, hey, leave those guys alone, or hey, lock them up. You know, it's just all voices.
It's
and
confusing.
You have 5 or 6 cops standing around this guy, and suddenly he pulls a gun and he shoots this kid in the back, and even the fellow off, and you see as he realizes what he's done. You know, and the thing is famous because it was one of the first incidences like this that was captured on everybody's cell phones. Everyone,
Right.
I mean, they have multiple angles of this thing. Nobody real close. There's no detail work there. But anyway, it's one of the it's a terribly disturbing thing, and they've made this film out of the thing. And here's the thing that bothers me a little bit about it. Is the one thing about it, this seemed like the kind of film I used to go see before I had kids. You know, or before I just started to strive to like the nicer things in life. But I don't have any desire to watch a film about a kid who's going to get shot at the end when I know that happened to this guy for
Right.
real. And even though the performances are fantastic, and even though they say it's, you know, about how he was really starting to live life and all these things, I'm giving it a hate. I'm not going. Not going.
What about you, AMC Mike?
This falls into, you guys are going to laugh at me, but this falls into the Titanic category for me. It looks brilliant. The preview looked pretty, but I know what happens. It's upsetting. I don't want to see it. I'm going to give it a great, but I will not see it.
That's fine. Maybe that's what I'm giving it.
I think I kind of agree with you guys. You know, this is the kind of little indie film that I would have loved, you know, 7 or 8 years ago. But I've got a wife, I've got kids, and
what a sad story. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
just-
no one wins in this.
How do
Like,
you,
Right.
how do you feel when you walk out of this
right.
movie?
Well, and how do you feel about this kid who?
or this cop who
And the cop,
was
that's
just
what I'm saying.
overworked.
Just
The whole
everybody,
thing, everybody,
yeah.
nobody wins in this. Nobody's going to win in this. And I guess, you know, I'm not saying the film shouldn't have been made, but maybe I'm getting to be a little bit more escapist these days. Like, this film was already made by people's cell phones.
So there you
And
go.
that was used to convict this police officer and send him away to jail where very bad things happen to police officers.
Right.
You know, I'm not for it. So there you go.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, what's
next
next?
up? VHS 2. This is a sequel to a movie called VHS that was kind of a low budget.
Yeah.
It was a low budget horror film made a few years ago. The concept of the original is also kind of the concept of the sequel, which is a group of people are searching a house and they come across a videotape that has a series of, you know, home videos on it. There's 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and they are all connected by some sort of through line. But each of them is also a standalone horror piece in and of itself.
And it may be real.
And it may be
Maybe
real.
they're watching real murders.
Right.
Right.
I'm gonna hate it. You know, this is just like this is like taking the gimmickness of Blair Witch and just taking it a step further. That's just not interesting to me. It's I'm not a fan of this newfound obsession with gimmicked horror films like Saw and things like that. Like, they're not scary because they're scary. They're scary because they've got this gimmick to them, and that just.
You know, we were talking about This Is the End earlier, and I think I told you after I got out of it, one of the weirdest things was that the scares were real. You know,
Right.
like I could actually say that it becomes a horror movie about 15 minutes in, 15, 20
Right.
minutes,
Right.
which isn't to say that it's not legitimately funny along the way, but that the scares, I mean, there were people screaming in the
Right.
theater when it happened, and it was smart because it was such a highbrow concept.
Right.
You see that
But they do that.
That's why I want to see The Purge.
If you think about Pineapple Express and the other movies, though, of that vein of comedy from those folks, the Judd Apatow group,
They're highbrow stoner film,
Right.
highbrow romance comedy.
but
highbrow-
even
yeah.
amidst those, there are parts. I mean, for example, in Pineapple Express, there are parts where people are getting shot up and killed and beat up, and in those moments, you're not sure if you should be laughing at them or like cringing.
Right. No, absolutely. That's absolutely
So I'm not
true.
surprised that the same would be true of
So,
the horror.
and this is the exact opposite on VHS 2.
Right.
Like there's nothing about this movie that I want to see.
We now
and
go-
it doesn't look like it's a higher budget.
We now go live to our resident horror aficionado,
Correct.
AMC Mike.
All right. This looks like it's a combination of The Blair Witch and The Ring.
Fair? Fair?
And The Ring, I thought was terrifying. There were awesome parts of it that were just creepy. The Blair Witch gave me a headache, but I thought the concept was neat.
Sure.
I've never seen the first one, but I'm probably going to now. I'm going to give it a great because I think it looks fun. And just there were a couple of in the actual trailer itself, there were a couple moments because at first I thought, oh, this is going to be like The Purge. I don't think I'm going to like this, where it's that like realistic. And then
Right.
that supernatural feel came in, and as soon as they added the supernatural
You
feel,
could handle that.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm here.
I guess I see what you're saying. The supernatural thing didn't say. I wish that it had saved it for me too, but in the end, I came off feeling like this was like, was it 8mm?
Yeah.
It felt too 8mm, which is very real. Like, which
Yes.
was when I got done watching 8mm, I felt like I needed to take a shower.
Right, but to me
You
though,
know.
like the supernatural aspects
Sure.
that they showed were enough to get rid of that feeling.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So
Yeah,
there
that's
you go.
fair.
All right, last up. Last up is the local hometown celebrity screenwriter Travis Beacham's epic masterpiece.
And we're going to him right now on the phone, except for not.
because he refused to answer any of our tweets after he promised that he would come on
He
the show.
told us he'd be on
Promise.
the show, folks.
And then he backed out.
And maybe we can catch him after it opens. Maybe then it'll be...
Maybe he's listening live right now and is just waiting to call us at 614-5553.
I'm checking this out right now.
But the reality is, folks, Cleveland High School graduate Travis Beacham has written a film that Guillermo del Toro has made, and it opens Friday. It's called Pacific Rim.
And how you could not know what this film is about by now doesn't even seem humanly possible. But just in case, I am going to go ahead and give you the 2-second here. When an alien attack threatens the Earth's existence, giant robots piloted by humans are deployed to fight off the menace.
Kaiju.
We've talked more about this movie in the last 2 years than any other movie than Drive Angry.
This is true.
So, this is a big moment, actually, historically for the show, when you consider we were talking about this thing in pre-production. We might have been talking about it for 3 years.
This movie stars Charlie Hunnam, Idris Elba, and Charlie Day, and Ron Perlman.
And that other girl looks really good, but I don't know her name.
Rinko Kikuchu.
Yep.
I didn't want to say her name because I knew
Yeah.
that no matter how I said it, it would just sound like I was making fun of her.
Right, but
So I
you're
was just
not.
avoiding
That's her
it.
name.
Yeah. So, and it's, of course, directed by Guillermo.
Now, earlier today, I was reading all of the reviews that were coming out. I had my Zeit feed to pull them, and they were all really great. And then later in the day, you were reading,
And almost
and they
everyone
were all
I read
really
was
bad.
Yeah.
So here we go. I'm going to ask AMC Mike to start off with her take on Pacific Rim. It's a big moment right now.
It's robots and monsters fighting. I'm gonna grade it.
I like that straightforward.
It's just, that's all you need.
I like that straightforwardness.
I got to tell you, that straightforwardness, though, is exactly my hesitation. My worry is that once the wow factor is over, once we're over the fact that it's giant robots versus giant monsters, are we done with this movie? Is there going to be enough of a human story or enough character or enough plot for us to give
It takes two of them.
Oh,
plot.
Oh, well, if it takes two of them doing a mental handshake, how silly of me. You know, so that's really my biggest concern about this is there nothing more to it? Are we going to go in and find out that it's just this boring cliche sort of, you know, this boring cliche trope where it's like, you know, oh, look, it's Charlie Hunnam, and he and you know, his brother are super Jaeger pilots, and they're gonna, you know, his brother's gonna die, and so he quits, and so, you know, Idris Elba or whatever is gonna have to go and convince him to come back because the world needs him now, you know. And you know, please, really.
Well, are you willing to give it a hate then?
I'm not.
I'm waiting to see you step up to all your criticism.
I'm saying all of that to say, at the end of the day, however, I am going to give this one a great, based on the fact that the wow factor does apply to me. I am one of those Comic-Con going kind of guys. So the wow factor does apply to me, and I'm definitely going to see it because we've been talking about it for 3 years. I just don't know for sure that I'm going to think that it's the love fest that I wish that it would be.
I am for this movie. This is what I realized. Now, we all knew I would give it a great because I've not stopped.
Right.
You have not stopped in your criticism since day one, and I have not stopped in my gleeful joy since day one. Now, when we
had criticism since day one, I was fully on board with you for a while. I was.
Okay. Pre-first trailer.
Sure.
Okay, but since the trailer came out, the first trailer, I have continued to amp up. Little featurettes make me more excited. They make you less excited.
Right.
They make you worry a little bit more.
You know they're canceling the apocalypse. I don't know if
I know
you
they
heard.
are.
I had to reschedule some things.
But I am not backing off of the fun factor of this film. And let me tell you what I'm expecting or what I'm hoping.
Sure.
You know how you're like saying, I hope it's good. It's funny because I don't worry about that. I hope it's, I'm going to use the word gooder, even though it's not a, no, it's not a word.
It's a word now.
It's a word, and it's a word right now. I hope it's gooder than Transformers. And so for me,
that's you do realize how low you're setting the bar.
No. Here's what I'm going to say. One of the best movie reviews I ever saw, that I ever read, was this guy who was reviewing for Ain't It Cool News. And it was the first time I'd ever heard the word awesome sauce, and he was like talking about plots and the need for character development, and he was going into the film in depth, and then all of a sudden he stopped, and in all caps he said, or you could freaking sit back and enjoy eating your popcorn while gigantic, huge, expletive robots fight battles with one another in downtown and be glad that we can make movies like this now for our inner child, right? I'm not willing to go that far. I'm not willing to take a movie and say it being a devoid of substance is okay.
Sure.
Because it's not. It won't keep me happy. It won't make me feel good about it. But I've seen enough in this film, and I've heard enough from both Guillermo del Toro and from Travis Beacham to feel like they have gone out of their way to try to put human in this where Transformers and et al. Didn't have it.
Even if the human they're putting in is cliche, at least it's there.
It's there, and it's there to anchor this ballet that we see. So when I'm watching this thing on the screen, and I'll admit I had a couple of really good fanboy moments, in the last few weeks as they ramped up the marketing campaign and really cleaned up those trailers to where I could see stuff. But the more I would hear Guillermo talking about, like, how much thought he put into the robots, like saying, well, you don't see a bunch of whirling gears like Transformers, because if there were whirling gears exposed, then that would be their downfall and they would always die. So what you see is when they move, you see a little bit of a whirling gear in a joint. He's thought this thing through. And let me say this. The reviews I take huge issue with are the people that keep saying that this dadgum thing has a B-list set of actors. Charlie Day, Charlie Hunnam, and Elba are not B-list actors. They are highly successful television actors who are making a jump to movies at the same time when lots of film actors are making a jump to television. There is no distinction now when it comes to character performance. There just isn't. You're not a better actor if you're in the movies.
No, I don't think
Not
that's
even
true.
close.
But I do think that it's a B list. I do believe that it's a.
I'm gonna be honest. The only name I recognized, like off the top of my head, was Ron Perlman.
Well,
that's not that. No offense, I'm not. That's not surprising to me. But
I'm saying like
But I mean, I don't know how many. I mean, I don't know how many Emmys Charlie Hunnam's got to be nominated for before he's not a B-list actor. I mean,
he's
you'd
the
lose
star.
two if you were.
He's the star of Sons of Anarchy.
Right. He's more of a star of Sons of Anarchy than Ron Perlman is.
right. But I mean, I know Ron Perlman from other things.
You know, and Charlie Day has won like every Emmy a comedy can win for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, you know, I get what you're saying in terms of maybe what they make, they're not A-list, but as far as their skill level.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I have no idea who they are.
You have to realize,
able
though, that when you refer to an A-list actor or a B-list actor, it's not about the quality of the acting. It's actually a measurement of recognizability. You know, it's part of that whole, what we were talking about earlier. It's part of the marketing part of the machine that is, you know, consumption versus art. You know, and so I do think it's important. I do think we have to weigh those things. I do think we have to look at this and say, yeah, but, you know, if you don't watch Sons of Anarchy and you didn't happen to watch Undeclared, are you going to know who Charlie Hunnam is? Probably not. If you hadn't seen Hellboy or Beauty and the Beast from years ago, you might not know who Ron Perlman is.
Right.
You know, Charlie Day is on a highly acclaimed comedy series, but it's a comedy series on not
FX.
not just a cable network, but it's a subscription cable network.
Right, yeah.
So I mean, I don't know that it's fair to say that, you know, that these guys are A-list because of their quality. Because I mean, sure, they're A-list because of their quality, but they're B-list because nobody knows who they are.
That's fair.
So
that's fair. So you're saying this would be a much different film if Brad Pitt was one of the
well, I think
Jaeger
it would
pilots.
certainly make a difference in the way it's marketing. Definitely.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah,
Well,
so I'm
three greats.
Yeah.
People need to go see it.
People need to go see it. Need to go see it.
We need to go see it.
Even the unicorn says.
Go ahead. Follow that rainbow to your dreams.
I believe that's true.
I believe it's true too.
We'll be right back.
You're listening to Lights Camera Cleveland.
When we get back, the Slinky's going to be so mad. He's going to be furious. All that and more. Lights, Camera, Cleveland.
I like your sundress. I like your sundress. What about the girl with loneliness? And from the inside out, you're so beautiful. I wanna hold you in my hand. I do everything you want me to. I do everything you want me to do. I wanna start going on a morning walk. What about the days when we used to talk? I don't need a smile from a mannequin. I just wanna hold you in my hand. I do changed, girl, you know you have. Don't make a good thing bad. Just let me hold you in my hand. I do everything you want me to. I do everything you want me to. I do everything, everything, everything. I do everything you want me to. I do everything you want me to.
We're back, and he's so angry. I can't chill him out. He's the maddest that I've ever seen him. That might not be true.
I've seen him pretty mad before.
Have you seen him super mad?
I've seen him pretty.
It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for one of the best 3-minute segments that we've got. This is the Slinky Sound Off. This is where Slinky has a moment. You know, he was getting so upset. People were calling in being like, Slinky needs to go to anger management. Why did Slinky hit a homeless man? You know, stuff like that. And so we were like, you know what, Slinky? Here's how we're going to combat it. We're going to give you your own section where you can complain about anything in Hollywood that you want to. But there's a issue. The issue is that we get to judge you. When you're done, AMC Mike and I are going to vote on whether or not your gripe was valid or invalid. You ready? Go.
James Cameron this week attended Mexico City's technology forum, TAG-DF, and while he was there, he started going off on Man of Steel and Iron Man 3 and all these movies that are being converted to bad 3D, getting all grumpy, saying these greedy studios are wasting money converting them, and saying that, you know, summer tentpole movies don't have to be 3D to begin with, because if you're spending $150 million on visual effects, then the film should be good enough to look at and spectacular already, and it should already be perfect. And I'm just saying, dude, you are the king of the world. You've got 6 movies that have all been great. At least 2 of them have been the highest grossing movies of all time when they were made. Why do you got to be such a jerk face to everyone else who's making movies? Especially when, lo and behold, you just re-released Titanic. And guess what? You 3D converted it.
You pulled that in under 60 seconds. That was a 55-second rant.
Thank you.
All right, AMC Mike, what do you think about that?
I think that's justified.
Oh.
I mean, just
Oh.
that is kind of jerky.
Yeah.
Why would you badmouth stuff when you're doing it yourself?
Right, yeah.
I'm calling you on the carpet, Slink.
Uh-oh.
For a man who complains and complains about these 3D conversions, and there's finally a dude, yeah, you knew you were going to get caught. This is why you grin. This is why you giggle. This guy just said everything you believe. He just said everything that you... this guy is finally saying, hey, and I think we can all give him the pass on Titanic, seeing as how it was for so many years the biggest film in the world. Okay? It was time to see that movie in 3D. We the people demanded it. We demanded. Look at me on video.
Did you really
Hold on,
demand
I'm
it?
making a demand face.
Okay, make your demand face.
Demand. I'm demanding.
Did you really demand it? Did you go see it?
423-614-5553 if you're demanding. Demand it.
Did you go see it in 3D?
No, but I wanted to. I wanted to. What? Did we just lose every Whoopster?
Oh, no, you just missed it. You just missed it. It was your moment where you were demanding.
Oh, I was demanding.
And you were frozen on the
time
screen.
delay. Oh, I was frozen in.
Yeah,
frozen
demanding
in
face.
Glorious gorilla-like
Yes.
action. So here's the thing. This guy finally comes out and says what we know to be true, that the studios are greedy. that they are converting these films just to get more dollars and not because they're good. And I would also like to say the one thing that we can give on this, I'm going to half validate you. I'm going to validate you in this much. You are correct that he did just convert Titanic. You are correct. Although, I mean, it was sort of like it'd been gone so long that it wasn't like just a film coming out getting converted to 3D, in my opinion. And AMC might can have her own opinion about it. But this guy is saying everything that we already know to be wrong with Hollywood. This is what we want. We want somebody out there who has influence in the industry saying, don't just throw 3D on it and hope it to be good. So I do not validate your rant.
It doesn't feel like that's what he was like. That, to me anyway, the rant that not Slinky's rant.
I'm not allowed to confirm nor does not deny.
Not Slinky's rant, but the other guy, that famous guy.
James Cameron.
Thank you. His rant, it kind of just felt foot stompy though. I don't know, like it didn't come across like I'm worried about the art.
I don't know. We seem split. We seem split on this, Slinky, because this in particular is your soapbox, and somebody set it up and cleaned it off for you and gave you a step stool up onto it, and then you said that that he can't attack. Like if he can't attack others that are doing this, I mean, when will it end? When will it end? When will it end? But you got a split decision. You got a split decision on the sound off. What do you? I mean, you have any more to say on it?
I think that for me, my anger is not so much that he's got this opinion that we all share, so much as that he himself has been guilty of it with Titanic and is just being a jerk.
That's why I had to half validate you. I didn't read the whole article or hear what he said, so it's hard for me to know the jerkiness of it. Although he's not known for being kind.
No, he's not.
You know what I mean? Like that's not his bag. That's
right.
I never inserted kindness into it. He's seeing an opportunity to correct the industry, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
In the same way that Christian Bale corrects a light guy. So.
But wouldn't we all be happier if he would just shut his mouth and make another movie we want to see?
I don't know that that's
not in
true.
3D.
I guess that's really where I disagree. Is I'm for anyone in the industry that has actual influence being able to speaking out on it, even if they're jerky, because man, it's a blight.
Yeah.
It's ruining other movies that are in 2D because of the lenses. Like it's messing up the entire film experience. So yeah, I'm glad he's saying it. I wish we had another segment.
We happen to have another
Wish
segment.
we had a strong segment that we could go out on.
Well, why don't we talk about the greatest airplane crash movie of all time?
That sounds fun.
Woo!
Do explain.
Yes.
Do explain to me why this is our topic.
Well, obviously, everybody has heard about this plane that crashed in San Francisco, and I feel like
it did at the SFO.
I feel like with the amount of people who survived, it's pretty amazing and is kind of a happy ending, really, overall, to something that could have been much, much more horrific.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that frees us up to talk about that topic in movies.
Well, even when we were here in the studio a few moments ago, they were showing the plane crash video of it. And man, that pilot did something else.
Well, they're saying that it may, they're suspecting it may even be pilot error that caused it.
It's almost always pilot error. I'm reading this book right now that has data on plane crashes, so it's interesting that you bring this up. It has data on a lot of things, and one of the segments is about plane crashes because it's really about people.
Right.
And the author says that on the whole, statistically, planes are as reliable as toasters. They don't fail. Like they just don't. It's rare that even the things that we hear about being mechanical are human error.
Right.
It's because somebody didn't fill up a gas line or somebody left a wrench in an engine.
Right. There are maintenance.
It's not that the machine failed.
Right. There are actually surprisingly few moving parts on an airplane, and then when you add, did you know that the survival rate for plane crashes is 95%?
I'm not surprised.
And this is what's really amazing. Survival rate is 95%, yet 52% of all flyers are afraid of flying.
Makes sense.
So there you go. So the greatest airplane crash movie of all time.
We've got 5 minutes. Let's do this, Slinky, now.
We're going to talk about movies that are not necessarily about plane crashes, but
that
rather
have a plane crash in them.
movies that have plane crashes in them. Now we could talk a little bit about the airport, trilogy. Airport 75 and Airport 77, back with George Kennedy in the 70s, which is kind of the original disaster film of airplanes. But they're really not very good.
No, the films aren't that good. Particularly 75 bored me, and I was like, Heston, for real? Stop it.
Right. And then you had 77 with Jimmy Stewart, where they're all trapped underwater.
And then I was like, Stewart, for real? Stop it. I did it better than you thought, didn't you? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Let's stop it, Slinky.
So, and then you've got movies like United 93 from a couple of years ago where the whole movie's about a plane crash, and then they don't even bother to show it.
No, they don't. And you know what? It was too soon.
Too soon.
And it really was.
It was too soon.
It didn't need to be made.
It was too soon. But then we move on to, there's all sorts of interesting kind of aspects to crash movies. You've got movies like Con Air, where like the crash is just sort of like done for the sake of action.
And it goes on forevers.
And evers.
And evers.
And you're like, reals? For reals?
You know what? But when you're watching it and you're forgetting what a horrible movie it is, you're pretty glad to see John Malkovich. And
we got to get this plane down!
John Malkovich.
So, yeah. But then you've got like truly terrifying airplane crashes too.
I want to talk about those for a second.
Sure.
Yeah, here's the thing. There are moments when a movie supersedes, and there are two, and both of the films we're going to talk about here...
The crashes are better than the movie deserves.
Crashes are better, and those true terrifying crashes are Die Hard 2.
Die Harder.
When the plane comes down and he's out on the runway and you know it's all going to pieces.
And he's
it's
waving
creepy.
He's waving with the flares, trying to tell them to not land.
It's creepy, and the at that point we feel like the terrorists have won. But you pointed out that maybe the most scary plane crash that ever happened in Final Destination.
That's right. And the interesting thing about that is, first of all, it's a horror movie, but more than that is this plane crash, unlike all of the other plane crashes in every other movie we could possibly think of, this crash doesn't happen on the ground. It's a mid-air explosion.
And it happens behind the safety glass, so you see it before you hear it. It does like this thump, pow,
right.
And the kid turns around, and of course the focus is on him because he's been making a fuss to get off the plane.
Right. And in the opening of that movie, part of the horror of that is we see the crash from the inside as a premonition, and then we see it from the outside as the reality.
And it's scary.
It's pretty scary.
But none of those are the top three.
No, and you know what? I want to real quick touch on Knowing, another Nick Cage movie, because you know what? This one has a fantastic plane crash, but guess what?
The movie sucks.
But the plane crash isn't seen from on board.
The movie does suck.
It's so bad. But that brings us to the top 3 greatest plane crash movies of all time.
Really? What are they?
Number 3, 1965, Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, Slinky, thanks for making me number 3.
Flight of the Phoenix with Richard Attenborough, Peter Finch, and Ernest Borgnine.
This is a truly good film.
World War II, cargo plane crashes in the desert, and they have to reassemble it to escape.
This is Cappy's film.
Your grandpa?
Cappy, yeah, my grandpa, may rest in peace, loved that movie.
All right. Number 2, 1992, Dustin Hoffman and Gina Davis, Hero.
Almost made our number 1.
This one is a great movie because it was when Dustin Hoffman, first of all, turned his whole career upside down. But it's a thinker.
It is. It's a thinker because it's about a guy who saves a bunch of people from a plane crash, but none of them can see him, and so all they've heard is his filthy mouth as he curses, as he gets them, and he doesn't want to be a hero.
And
he doesn't want anyone to know who he is.
But that brings us to the greatest plane crash film of all time, and that is 1993, Jeff Bridges and Oscar-nominated Rosie Perez, Fearless.
And it is so dadgum good.
So you folks at home, you've got your Netflix, break it out, check out these 3 movies, check out the greatest plane crashes on film of all time.
Until next time, I'm Rob Alderman, and I love movies.
I'm the Hollywood Slinky, and I love movies.
I'm AMC and Mike, and I love movies.
Let's all love movies together.
Life's not some ship you sail on you when you're feeling passionate. You're in it, so get some courage, kid, and why don't you grow